Good morning everybody and welcome to another video from Tall Travels. So today I'm in the historic city of Bath and right now I'm in Royal Victoria Park and behind me we have Royal Victoria Crescent. Look at that, isn't it beautiful? 18th century I believe. And look, they've got their own private lawn here so they can take tiddles for a walk. So today's video is not going to be about the architectural beauty of Bath, but it's going to be talking about more differences between Russia and the UK. So after making the first video, I thought to myself, wow, I got so many more thoughts on this matter that I have to share. So guys, I came down here to Royal Victoria Park today to escape from the centre. I mean, it's busy today. Not only is it Friday, but it's also a gloriously sunny day, which has been a rare occurrence of late. And not only is it a glorious sunny day, but it's also Black Friday. Oh my God. The centre is just full of idiots, so I had to get out of there. Right, everybody, so I've got a list to go through today in no particular order. And the first one I'm going to talk about is personal space, okay? So in the UK, it seems that people really respect personal space here, and I've noticed this since I came back to the country, and it's shocking even me as a British person because I've been away for so long. So yeah, when you're walking down the street, people are making a concerted effort to get out of your way. So yeah, you're walking towards somebody and they're kind of moving out of the way. Oh, I'm so sorry, like this. Which is very strange for me. Now, it could be that this has been accentuated by the COVID pandemic, where people were being told to stay 2 meters away from everybody else. So yeah, I'm still getting used to this over politeness as I see it. Anyway guys, I'll give you an example of this. The other day, I was standing in the street and I was writing something on my phone. I was standing on the pavement. All of a sudden, this girl came out of nowhere, smacked into me, knocked my phone to the ground. It was pretty shocking, to be honest, but I just coolly kind of bent down, made sure the phone wasn't broken, then continued typing. But she was freaking out. She was like, oh, I'm so sorry, so sorry. This girl was almost begging for my forgiveness, and all I did was just bend down, picked up the phone, made sure it wasn't broken, and continued typing. I didn't even look at her. And yeah, this is a very Russian reaction to a situation like this. You know, if I made a classic English response, I would have said something like, oh, it's quite all right, no problem, no problem. Now, everybody, I find that Russians are not quite so respectful in this regard. So, for example, if you go to the Produkty, which is like a local shop selling bread and milk and food and stuff like that, there's often a queue, but they don't respect queues like the British. Not many people respect queues like the British, I have to say, but especially the Russians. So, you know, you're queuing to buy some food, ask what you want from the babushka, and there's a line, and all of a sudden some other babushka jumps in front of the queue, starts looking at the sausages, then she asks the woman behind the counter some question about the sausage or something like that, and then all of a sudden she's asking for the sausage and she's jumped in front of the queue. Now everybody, another way that Russians don't respect personal space so much is when you're walking down the street, you're often banging into people. Now if you bang into somebody in the UK walking down a pavement or something like that, it's a bit of a big deal, you know. You say, oh, I'm sorry, but in Russia you don't say anything. So yeah, here's what happens. You're walking down the street towards somebody, one of you is not looking where you're going, and you bang into the shoulder. It can be pretty hard. You don't say anything, you just continue walking. No apology, no begging for forgiveness, nothing. Unless that person is lying on the ground in a pool of blood, you don't apologize. Anyway guys, so on the subject of politeness again, I wanted to talk to you about the silent handshake. So this took a bit of getting used to when I first moved to the former Soviet Union. So they don't engage in small talk in Russia like we do in Britain. So if they see somebody they know on the street, it might not be a good friend, just an acquaintance. Instead of like stopping them saying, how are you, how's your job going, blah, 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 they just go up to them, shake hands, and then walk off, and that's it. And I suppose I like that in a way, you know, because British people are quite renowned for small talk, talking about the weather, how's your job going, blah, blah, blah. Do they really care? Probably not. Hello. Want some nuts? I see you. I see you. Oh, I see it. Oh. This guy's playing with me. Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. Oh. Oh, I see ya. So guys, next I wanted to talk about Stoicism. So Russians have that reputation for being very stoic. So when you're on the street, you're not going to see much in the way of excitement or anger from them, just very calm and cool. And when I'm in Russia or Ukraine, Belarus, a lot of people think I'm local, and I think a part of that is to do with my stoicism. So I'm a very kind of relaxed and kind of chilled out guy, and I don't get too emotional too easily. You come to see me, have you? I don't have any nuts, I'm afraid. Well, I do, but you're not chewing on them. So guys, in Russia you never have a squirrel coming up to you like this. It's a low trust society. Very untrusting squirrels in Russia. Hello, you're following me, are you? Hello. There we have it, the bath. Oh, I'm feeling very patriotic now for my Union Jack bench. Now guys, another thing I wanted to talk about is clothing. So in England, people have, or Britain, people have a habit of wearing as little clothing as possible, it seems. I mean, it's about 10 or 11 degrees now, maybe 12 degrees even, and I've got this winter jacket on, and this is considered like overdressing for this kind of temperature. So, you know, you'll be walking around in wintertime here, 2 or 3 degrees, and you'll see people in shorts or t-shirt, which is quite ludicrous. I don't know why they do it. Maybe they're trying to act tough or something. Russia is the exact opposite. So it can be 18 degrees, even warmer sometimes. And you see like mothers and grandmothers wrapping their kids up in winter jackets with scarves, hats. And they think they're going to get sick from the cold. Oh, and that's a bit of a problem when you go into public transport. So you go onto the metro or bus or something. And it can be pretty smelly because everybody's like dressed too warmly and they start sweating. Blah. Oh, and that's another thing I wanted to talk about, public transport. So they have something in Eastern Europe called promaya. Well, in Serbian it's known as promaya. I'm not quite sure in Russian. But basically people in Eastern Europe are scared of drafts. So you'll get on the bus, it can be 30 degrees in summertime or something like that, and the windows are all closed. So you get on the bus and you think, what the hell? Why are the windows all closed? It's 30 degrees. So you go to open one, and then the babushka get very angry because she's scared of the drafts. She thinks these drafts are going to make her sick. So yeah, this seems absolutely ludicrous to me. I mean, it's 30 degrees. You're on in a tiny little marshrutka bus, all that sweat and germs, and you want to keep the windows closed? Are you mad? Whew. I'll tell you what, guys, it's very chilled out here in my little mini garden inside the botanical gardens. Got Union Jack here, comfy little bench. It says bath there. Now everybody, I wanted to talk about sitting on the street. Now Russians who come to the UK are surprised to find out that people sitting on the street sometimes are not homeless. So yeah, in Russia, if you're sitting on the ground, you're homeless, and that's it, you know. Nobody sits on the ground. No gentlemen, no ladies, especially not ladies, you know. I mean, like I was saying in my last video, ladies dress up very nicely in Russia, and the last thing they're going to do is sit on the bloody ground. So guys, if you go to Russia and you fancy sitting on the ground, then you may as well put your begging bowl out in front of you. Right, enough of this bench. I'm starting to get a cold bum. Oh, it's too comfortable. I can't get up again. Now everybody, the next thing I wanted to talk about is ladies smoking in public. So in the UK, you know, women and men, they're smoking everywhere, but when you go to Russia, you'll rarely see ladies smoking on the streets because it's considered unladylike behavior. And those that are smoking on the street are considered to be sluts or trashy women. So if you do go to Russia and you're looking for a good time, then look for the women that are smoking. Now, next thing, it's kind of clothing related again, man bags. So in Russia, man bags are very, very popular. I don't know why, but when Russian men are walking around, they got all sorts of stuff in their man bags. They got documents, I don't know, chargers, cigarettes, and all sorts of things. But in England, if you went down the pub with a man bag, there's a high chance you get the shit kicked out of you. Now, as far as British men are concerned, you just need space for your keys, your wallet, and your phone, and that's it. You know, nobody carries around official documents with them in the UK. Okay, everybody, so I wanted to go back to talking about men and women. So one of the most glaringly obvious things you notice when you come back to this country is discrepancy between the men and the women. So sometimes you'll see some handsome looking guys, you know, it looks like they go to the gym every day in shape, and his girlfriend will be some obese monster. Now everybody, I don't want to appear too cynical. Beauty's only skin deep and also in the eye of the beholder, but in Russia you'll never see this. So guys, if some of these good-looking British men went to Russia, they could find themselves doing very well with the Russian ladies, but it's very important to not only look like a man, but also act like a man as well, and I think a lot of men in this country will struggle in that regard. So guys, often Russian ladies will look at this man, and he's very good-looking, you know, chiseled features, washboard stomach, bulging muscles and all that kind of thing, and she'll think that's not the guy for me, because a lot of Russian ladies, they want a provider, not a guy who lives in the gym. Now what I'm going to say next is going to come as a big shock to Westerners, and you probably won't believe me unless you spent time in places like Russia, Ukraine and Belarus. Russian women love fat men.
He's a disgruntled Scottish guard known for his lethal temper and his unusual eating habits. He weighs a metric ton. His name, Fat Bastard. What have we got here? Enough of that. All right, Felicity would never sleep with you. Right?
I did what I had to do.
So I didn't realize this until 12 years ago when I moved to the former Soviet Union, and I just started seeing all these beautiful models, young beautiful models, hanging around with these fat men who are definitely not the textbook version of handsome. Now, one of the big reasons that Russian women love fat men is because you have to have money to get fat. So she knows the way to that fat bloke's heart. It's through his stomach, of course, so she knows that if she keeps feeding him, he's going to do whatever she says. So another reason that Russian women love the fat man is because she can be fairly confident that he's not going to be playing the field too much. You know, because if you have a good-looking man in Russia, you know, and he says he's going down the pub with his mates, quite often he's going to be getting a lot of attention for the women. He's going to be hitting on the waitresses and all that kind of thing. Now, another thing that I've noticed, and I think others will notice in Russia, is when you do see a very good-looking guy, quite often he can be with a not so beautiful girl, and the reason for that is that he knows that a beautiful girl in Russia is expensive, You know, you have to keep her in a constant supply of designer clothes, makeups, perfumes and stuff like that. So he'd rather have a girlfriend that's less beautiful, and then he'll try and cheat on her on the side. So guys, moving on to the next topic. Families. So I notice in the UK that families socialize a lot more together. So at the weekend, you know, the whole family's walking around. Whereas in Russia, you don't see that so much. Family is very important in Russia, don't get me wrong, but you rarely see like the whole family out walking together. You don't see a daughter walking with her father or grandfather, or son walking with a mother or grandmother or something like that. So to be honest, that's something I like about this country. So everybody, that brings me on to the next subject, which is how UK is an ageist society. So yeah, it's unfortunate that people in this country put such a high emphasis on youth. So yeah, a lot of elderly people are basically outcasts of society, which is absolutely wrong, and it's not the same in all countries. If you go to the Mediterranean countries like Italy, for example, it's a totally different story. Okay, everybody, so the last topic on my little list here is coffee shops. Absolutely terrible in the UK. When I was living in Lviv in Western Ukraine, used to have some fantastic coffee shops there, like really unique and luxuriously furnished places with full service and very attractive waitresses as well. So yeah, in the UK we have these chains of coffee shops like Starbucks or Starbucks equivalents like Costa Coffee, or what's that other one, Nero, and they're an absolute shambles. I could not believe it. You're paying £3 for the smallest Americano, and the furniture's all destroyed. There's all these dowdy people inside, no music, really depressing. Now, it was my habit in Eastern Europe for the last 15 years or so to go to the coffee shop every single morning for a fresh coffee. And now I've largely stopped doing that because it's just so boring and uninspiring. So that's about it, everybody. Thank you very much for supporting me with these videos, because like I said before, it's a good chance for me to get out and about, because if I didn't make this video today, God knows what I would have been doing. Now, make sure you get busy in the comment section, because I know that there'll be, you know, some expats in the former Soviet Union that can agree with a lot of the points I made. They might disagree with some of them. And maybe there'll be some Russian people that have been to this country and can agree with a lot of the points I've made. So yeah, guys, thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed this walk around with me today and enjoyed seeing the squirrels. And I'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye.
Would anybody like to make a donation today to St Mungo's, a charity for the homeless?
I bought 2 pence.
Why do I not have any jeans? Kind of need to have like
2 cents still.
Now 5 of them, that's 5 name and oranges for £1. Come on.